Hey there, I'm Lee Ullman here with some big news from the National Young Farmers Coalition. We're partnering with Heritage Radio Network on a special season of The Farm Report. It's all about what's happening with the Farm Bill and how it impacts farmers and eaters.
I am growing diversified vegetables on land that's been in our family for 150 years.
And so with the pandemic, gentrification, property values going up, we had to sell the land and we lost it.
Join us as we uncover the untold stories behind this massive piece of legislation that shapes how we grow our food, what we eat, and so much more.
The problems we have had, those are things that come from earlier Farm Bill and USDA policy, right? Like Earl Butts, get big or get out.
You know, it's my responsibility to know not only what I'm eating, but then like how that all came to be. And realize like, wow, like this piece of legislation, all this money, like it's technically something that I support as a taxpayer.
While Congress debates the next Farm Bill, this is not just an invitation to listen. It's a call to action. Be part of the conversation. Subscribe to the Farm Report on Heritage Radio Network, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hearst Ranch is a proud sponsor of the Heritage Radio Network. Learn more about Hearst Ranch at HearstRanch.com.
This week on a special bonus episode of Meat and Three, we find out why the bacon, egg, and cheese, that classic bodega sandwich, is popping up on menus of New York's trendiest restaurants.
We did a few iterations of it, and I was trying to fancify it. We tried the sausage, egg, and cheese, and then we tried to put chermoula sauce on it. We used feta cheese, and we just like taking ingredients of the Mediterranean, if you will, and try to infuse it. But for me, it was like a car wreck.
Tune in to hear about the wild journey of the bacon, egg, and cheese, from deli to fine dining, on Meat and Three, HRN's weekly food news roundup, available wherever you listen to podcasts.
I'm Luke Griffin, and you're listening to Bushwick Podcast, local stories for a strong community. Each episode, we take you behind the scenes of the artists, activists, and entrepreneurs whose journeys collide in Bushwick, a special Brooklyn neighborhood that's changing faster by the day. Here in Bushwick and across the city, it's that time of year again. Bodegas have stocked up on pumpkins, clubs are full of costumes even more spectacular than usual, and a certain spookiness fills the air. Halloween is nearly upon us. For last year's holiday, we met with Eugene J., the mad scientist behind Bushwick's year-round celebration of all things sweet, surprising, and Halloween-y, the Eugene J. Candy Company. This year, we wanted to know, what's he got in store for the neighborhood now?
Well, it's such a great time, the Halloween season. It's a fun time for me to be giving back. You know, it's like it's Christmas. You know, it's a very generous time.
This week, we reconnected with Eugene at the height of the Halloween season to learn more about how he satisfies Bushwick's sweet tooth during the biggest candy celebration of the year. It's Thursday, October 24th. And this episode is called Niche, Nostalgia, and Novelty. For folks who are unfamiliar with Eugene J. Candy Co., could you please introduce yourself and your role with respect to the shop?
Okay, I'm the owner, candy maker at the store, and I've been calling it a spooky sweet shop. I don't know if that's working or not, but it's kind of I kind of think of it as like a backwards or reverse candy store, where most candy stores are bright and brightly colored and I don't know, it's like bubblegummy. My store is mostly black, you know, and it's not scary by any means, but it's kind of like the opposite of what you would think of a typical candy store. But it's a little sweet shop I just kind of dreamed up, and a place where I also make some of the candies inside. So it's got all your specialty candies, but also some a handful of things that I'm kind of churning up in the back.
Let's unpack that a little bit. Because when I think people hear candy store, they might be thinking of maybe the checkout section of
a bodega or one of like the big box candy shops or like the
Sure.
M&M store or something? What does it mean?
Well, it's the reverse of the checkout aisle at a grocery shop because all that stuff I don't have. I have the more like niche nostalgia and novelty stuff that you typically couldn't find. But the store's unique too. Like its location is in Bushwick, so the audience tends to be a little bit older. I'm not serving so many kids, so it's been really funny because I can't move a license like Trolls or Frozen, but man, Harry Potter and Rick and Morty just flies off the shelf, So that's my demographic. So it does tend to, typical candy store, I guess, would be catering to the I don't know, teens, tweens, but mine is the 20-year-old kid, the 30-year-old kid, truly backwards.
You started to speak to this a moment ago, but in a lot of ways, it's the reverse of a typical candy store, particularly in the aesthetic.
Yeah.
Could you describe that aesthetic a bit in terms of,
oh, sure,
like the overall character of the store and what you're going for?
It definitely, it's a, I don't know, if you take Willy Wonka and toss him into a Tim Burton realm, that's pretty much what you got. You got kind of this wonky fantasy, but with this spooky, cute, dark humor of a Tim Burton world.
When we spoke with Eugene last year, he was busy crafting the next stages of an ambitious project to position his shop and his candies as part of a kind of extended narrative universe. His signature products, Fickelgruber Freaks, are like a twisted version of Willy Wonka's crunchy Nerds candies, as made by the hands of Wonka's rival, Fickelgruber. This year, Eugene has put the Fickelgruber story on pause while he focuses on expanding his overall product line.
This year has been so much about cereals that it has consumed my life. It's been great, but I've never made so much candy in my life before that the Freaks and the Fickelgruber line is kind of on the back burner. I was thinking this year, if I had time, I can do what I really want to do is kind of like the answer to the Wonka bar, the Fickelgruber bar, but which would have been waffle cone pieces and milk chocolates. As the narrative goes in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Fickelgruber is accused of plagiarizing non-melting ice cream. So I thought, just make the Fickelgruber bar, toss it back to the novel and tie it back into the waffle cone or the ice cream. So, but I don't know. It's just like I have these ideas that I keep on coming up with, but I'm finding it hard to find some time to execute everything, This year, I wanted to get into chocolates a little bit. So as a side project to all the Freaks and Fickelgruber line, I was doing these milk chocolate Cheerios and dark chocolate cornflakes, and they've been so successful. I sell through every 2 weeks, So, and they take about 3.5 days to make one batch. And so it's literally just consumed me.
Where did that idea come from? This sounds like a bit of a departure from...
Oh, sure. Like the Freaks are great, but it's giant nerds. It's a hard candy, and I love them too, but I don't eat that like on a constant basis. And I really wanted to get something into chocolate this year, and I had been thinking about cereals for a while, and I really like that combination of chocolate and cereals. And so... I guess it was also kind of an extension of what I was doing prior. I was making these dark chocolate espresso beans, and I put a candy shell on it, and now I just chose a different center. I was taking these cereals and put a chocolate coat and a candy shell on it. And that was in the beginning. This is like December of last year, January of this year. I was playing around a lot with the recipe, like wholesale changes and like changing up how much chocolate was being put on it. And I did some with the candy shell and without the candy shell. And then, you try them both back to back, and the one without the candy shell just felt like there's something missing. You just needed that textural added crunch of the candy shell. And even now it's just kind of like all in development. I don't think I've repeated a recipe twice. It's every time. It's mostly to keep myself interested too, because once you nail down the recipe, it's just labor, right? But if you keep on playing with the recipe, I'm tweaking the candy shell a lot right now, getting some textures on it. Then it's just all an exploration. It's just all constantly fun.
I can say from experience that it is so good.
Appreciate that.
As much as he's a confectioner, Eugene is an artist, and the store and his candies are his unconventional media. Taken together, They represent a singular vision, and for the first time in years, Eugene is thinking of giving that vision an update.
I know when we spoke before, design was one of the driving forces behind the shop and the candy and the overall artistic expression that is the candy shop.
Mm-hmm.
As you think about potentially going back to basics with that, what are you thinking in terms of how you reinvent that language?
It's this year everyone kind of picks the store as kind of being the Willy Wonka of Bushwick, and this year I realized it's all wrong. I'm the Oompa Loompa of Bushwick. I'm the worker, and it's I don't even have the time to really think. And I mention it because I feel like at a certain point I'm the jack of all trades, master of none, and I'm spreading myself out too thin. So I'm actually thinking about getting some help with the design work now for the packaging stuff, so that maybe the Fickergruber logo, I don't even have a chance to really think about it, like I can come up with like an emotional feel I have for what I want the font or typeface to say, but I find out really hard to find time to step away from all the day-to-day of the business and candy making to actually relearn Photoshop every time, and get that done. So the design element is constantly there. It's like, but now I feel like I'm at a point where I need to get some help with all that.
Up to this point, it seems like the candy, the store, everything has been such a reflection of your singular vision.
Yeah.
As you think about opening that up and working with new people, how does that feel? Is that scary at all? Is that...
It's scary because it's new territory, but it's exciting. I'm excited to be blown away by other people's contribution to it too. And I can't run this ship alone forever. So it's it's an exciting time.
For any listeners that might be interested in getting involved, are you looking for any help in particular?
Sure, I'm looking for what I want. Definitely a new logo for Fickergruber, and maybe like a product name and logo for the cereal lines. I had thought of a few, but I gotta figure that out a little bit. But if there's any like industrial design, I would love a box that can rival a Wonka Nerds packaging, made out of cardboard, but kind of somehow glued together in a way to make this contraption to dispense freaks. That's been the dream of mine to imagine up to, but I don't know. I have a couple of different vessel ideas, but right now, the way I have it in these glass bottles and boxes are great, but I think it could be a little bit more playful and something. I don't know. Hey, it's Fickergruber who's riffing on every Wonka product, right? Let's riff on that also.
However it may look, the Eugene J. Candy Company brand is one that celebrates the spirit of Halloween year-round. So this month, of course, represents a major focal point.
As we approach Halloween.
Mm-hmm. The most wonderful time of the year.
Walk me through that process of preparing for what is the biggest event of the season I can only imagine for the candy store. How early do you start thinking about it, and what goes into that preparation?
It is half a year preparation. All the orders go in at the start of the summertime or before. And then I'm thinking decorations. It's, the store is always Halloween. It's the one time of the year when everyone else is on the same page, so it's pretty wonderful. And the season actually, as the, in terms of all the merchandise being out, all the bulk candy that's Halloween being out, it really starts start of September and through October. And it's great. It's business is brisk. Almost every day feels sort of like a weekend, so everyone is in that mood. Everyone needs their candy.
Much of the year, the aesthetic of the shop is Halloween remixed with other holidays. What then is your mindset as you think about this truest expression of Halloween and how you want to represent that?
I don't know, but I can tell you more decorations that get added on every Halloween, and they just stay up. So it's like a constant layering up on, or doubling down on the season. This year, during the summertime, I brought in this ivy. I kind of wanted, the seasons for the store are Halloween, Christmas, Valentine's, Easter. And then the fifth one is summertime, where there isn't much happening. It's a long season. And I kind of had this idea of a little bit of a overgrowth of ivy coming into the store. And so that went up. And I got to say, it became a permanent fixture at that moment. It was a little odd because it was blocking enough of my lighting that I had to switch to a brighter light in the store. But it just adds this fullness to the shop that kind of enhanced everything else, and everything else was kind of built around that this year. For Halloween, I just stayed classic. I had ideas of doing something weird, but I feel like, I'm the people want orange, black, for Halloween. That's too authentic and true. So I stayed with the classic. I think later on in the store's evolution, I can go crazy wild into my own realm. I really wanted to do maybe something like a crazy toxic green and black in the store, a little less traditional, but you gotta go with what's familiar.
In terms of candy, you mentioned business has been brisk. What do people want during Halloween versus other times of the year?
They want bloody bones and gummy missing body parts. They want the weird candies that you can only get this time of the year. It's really fun because it's so imaginative, and I got these blood bag energy drinks. It's kind of bizarre. It's got directions on microwaving it so you can get it at the right temperature. Who wants cold blood? It's very playful like that. I think some of the top sellers, it's really a lot of the classics, like these Reese's cups shaped like pumpkins. I even have some Peeps that are shaped like black cats and pumpkins. Those are all popular. Nerds rope, right? Spooky nerds. It's a mix of some of the specialty stuff at the shop and some of the more traditional items.
As he prepares to help satisfy Bushwick's sweet tooth, Eugene also has an eye toward the future. After the break, Eugene on how his relationship to Halloween has changed and what's in store for this year's celebration and beyond.
Hearst Ranch is a proud sponsor of the Heritage Radio Network. The Hearst family has been raising cattle on the rich, sustainable native grasslands of California's Central Coast for over 150 years. Piedra Blanca Rancho in San Simeon is the original Hearst Ranch, founded by George Hearst in 1865. George's son was the famous publisher William Randolph Hearst. In addition to being known for building the iconic Hearst Castle, William was, like his father before him, an avid rancher. In his words, "I would rather spend a month at the ranch than any place in the world." Thanks to one of the largest land conservation easements in California history, a joint effort with the California Rangeland Trust, the American Land Conservancy, and the state of California, the working landscape at Hearst Ranch will be preserved forever. Learn more about Hearst Ranch at HearstRanch.com.
Join Heritage Radio Network on Monday, November 11th. For a raucous feast to toast a decade of food radio. Our 10th anniversary Bacchanal is a rare gathering of your favorite chefs, mixologists, storytellers, thought leaders, and culinary masterminds. We'll salute the inductees of the newly minted HRN Hall of Fame, who embody our mission to further equity, sustainability, and deliciousness. Join us to explore the beautiful Palm House and Yellow Magnolia Cafe at the Brooklyn Botanic Garden, where you'll taste and imbibe to your heart's content, and bid on once-in-a-lifetime experiences and tasty gifts for any budget at our silent auction. Join the party. Tickets are available now at heritageradionetwork.org/gala.
At this point, I imagine that your relationship with the the holiday of Halloween has changed.
Oh, sure.
What does it mean to you now?
I love it. Absolutely. But it's changed as I grew older also, and I think it was all organic and natural how this shop came to be and how I came to be. I didn't just create a Halloween store and then start to like it. It's just kind of went in hand. Yeah, it's great. I don't know. I wish every month was like Halloween. I wish every day was Halloween.
Do you have any formative Halloween memories that you can look back on and see?
You know what? I don't. And I think that's what it is. I did a lot of my costuming as an adult. I really was deprived of a childhood. So I was just typical Asian kid with a stack of books to self-examine myself through. I think when parents thought about sending me out for Halloween, it was like put on that karate uniform, and go out as like a karate kid or something. It wasn't. I had a good childhood, but it really wasn't as fun as it's been as an adult when I can just create my own costumes first of all, but. It just goes with that, just creating something. Yeah, creativity.
What does your family think of the shop now, seeing this manifestation of Halloween?
Honestly, I think they're confused. I don't think they have any clue what's going on with it. They're all supportive of it for sure, but it's like I think we mentioned in the past show that I play in the band too. It's like when I let my mom hear some punk rock and she's like, it sounds like music. I think that's the same reaction she has with the store. She's complimentary and she's like, "Oh, it's looking great. It's looking better and better." But I know they can't. They're sweet. They just can't really give me some critical feedback on it.
As a local business owner, so much of Eugene J's work is for the growing community of fans and regulars he's built around the shop. But as a candy maker, he's also part of what he describes as a shrinking community of fellow confectioners.
As a candy maker and a candy store owner, do you have peers in the candy world that you ever work with or you meet up with? What does that community look like?
Oh, sure. Definitely. And I've met some amazing people in the candy world, either at like trade shows or I've taken some short courses and, we're like best social media friends, maybe never see each other, but always supportive of what each other is doing online. It's really wonderful. Actually, from my experience, it's not as cutthroat as like a Wonka, these are my secrets, I won't share them. It's really nurturing. If someone is struggling with something, it's really, you just ask and they say, try this out. Same thing with me. I've had so many people email me or direct message me on a social media platform going like, how do you do this? And just kind of like walk them through the process a little bit. So it's very... it's like everyone helping each other. It's really great.
I've always thought it was really special that Bushwick has a candy shop that makes its own candy. Is there a community that people who are not a part of the candy world maybe just don't have visibility into here in Brooklyn or just across the city? Like, what does that look like in terms of where they are? How many people are involved in this world?
Oh, I don't know about that. We're such a... It's kind of scary. It's like the candy store is kind of a vanishing breed, Every year I see my peers closing their shops or larger chains filing bankruptcy, So the most recent being Lolly and Pops and Sugarfina both filed bankruptcy. So... in my head, that's the game also. That's the fun. It's the challenge, It's trying to get ahead when that's the environment. It's also just the retail landscape that's changed, honestly, that's doing that. But I think for that reason too, the candy community is really tight knit because, we're going against the grain, I guess.
Well, as we head into one of the biggest candy seasons of the year, and you're thinking about how to change things up for 2020, what are you thinking about in terms of setting the store up to thrive in a landscape that sounds like it's challenging?
Yeah, this coming year is going to be an interesting one. I signed a 5-year lease, and this will be my 5th year. So I got to figure out, do I want to stay in the same spot, or can I find something more suitable, maybe in a higher foot traffic area? Is like this store. First of all, I can't believe it's almost 4 years that I've been doing this. That's like a term through like college, right? So it's just in a blink of an eye, 4 years have passed, but I've learned a whole lot. It's been like grad school for me. It's just, and one of the things I think I realized is I should have probably located the store in the higher foot traffic area, because candy is so much about just impulse buys, like the number of people who walk past my store and then within a few seconds turn around and come in. That would help the business thrive a little bit more also, I think. So I've been thinking about it. I'm really comfortable in my spot, and I don't think the way I have it now, I can just move into another pristine vanilla box and make it as kind of spooky and creepy looking, So it's special, and this is being the first shop. I feel like I want to hold on to it for a long time, but that's kind of what I've been contemplating a little bit. It's got I don't know, do I just blink and then another 10 years of my life go by at this one location, or do I try to like scale it up a little bit? It's scary, but I don't know. It's kind of fun. That's the rodeo, I guess.
Challenging as that rodeo may become, today the store's focus is on helping Bushwick celebrate another Halloween with its neighborhood spooky sweet shop.
So this will be the 4th year I'm experiencing Halloween. But the first year it was on a Monday, and I wasn't open. A lot of the shops in my neighborhood were closed on Mondays, so I was closed the first year. And the second and third year, I was open and handed out plenty of candy. And this year, I'll be doing the same. But I wouldn't say I host. It's a special time because a lot of the older grown-up kids, right, us, they all come back, and since they're not trick-or-treating, they buy candy for themselves. And then, so one time of the year, I see all these kids come through, and I'm like, where have you been the rest of the year, And they come in quickly for some candy and run out. But, my avenue, Wilson Avenue, it has some stores, but it's really scattered. I imagine most of the trick-or-treaters are just going down the street next to it, Knickerbocker Avenue, and that's just door-to-door stores and just making a run down it, So it's great. I think I counted around 500 people visit last Halloween, which is plenty for a small shop like mine.
I mean, that seems huge.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's like I've always joked that I want to hand out some tricks. Forget about it. It's just one or the other, right? Trick or treat. But yeah, I usually stick to some of the more miniature versions of some of the things you can find at the store, like miniature Charleston chews, or last year I was giving out some packs of pumpkin patch Pop Rocks, just orange flavored Pop Rocks, but packaging is cool. And then like classics like little Haribo gold berries and stuff.
Just as preparations for this year's Halloween began months ago, now, as Bushwick readies for the main event, Eugene must already start looking ahead to what's next.
I'm excited, like now going forward, it's just successive with all the holidays. So I'm excited because, not only does the merchandise change over, but now the whole store changes over. So there's a new life to the store. Halloween, Christmas, Valentine's, Easter again. So it should be a good next 8 months.
But for the next week at least, Eugene is ready to enjoy the best time of the year.
Well, it's such a great time, the Halloween season. It's a fun time for me to be giving back. It's like it's Christmas. It's a very generous time. So I'll be handing out plenty of candy. I'll keep it a secret of what it is this year, but it'll probably hint. It will probably be nostalgia and specialty related, not just your typical run-of-the-mill generic candies.
If you're interested in visiting the shop or getting involved with the Eugene J. Candy Company, getting in touch is simple.
Just email Eugene J. Sorry. I forgot my own email. Sure, just email the store at hello@eugenej.com, HELLO@EUGENEJ.com. Or you can just call in. All the information is online, 718-381-1050.
We've got all that info and more in the show notes for this week's episode. If you want to pick up some of your own Halloween candy from Eugene J's, you can visit the shop for yourself at 16 Wilson Avenue. We won't spoil the surprises he's got for this year's trick-or-treaters, but you may just want to find out for yourself. We'd like to extend our sincere thanks to Eugene for taking the time to open a window into his workshop, especially at the height of the Halloween season. And as always, we'd also like to thank you for listening this week. If you enjoy Bushwick Podcast, you can do us a huge favor by telling a friend, or even by leaving us a review on your favorite podcast platform, which helps us reach even more new listeners with stories like these. We'll be back with another story you won't want to miss, but in the meantime, we'd love to know what you're interested in hearing and how we can do better. Get in touch by emailing us at hello@hearbushwick.com or by DMing us on our Instagram page @Bushwick Podcast. We can't wait to hear from you, and we'll see you soon.
This program is powered by Simplecast.
Thanks for listening to Heritage Radio Network. Food radio supported by you. For our freshest content, subscribe to our newsletter. Enter your email at the bottom of our website, heritageradionetwork.org. Connect with us on Instagram and Twitter @heritage_radio. You can also find us at facebook.com/Heritage Radio Network. Heritage Radio Network is a nonprofit organization driving conversations to make the world a better, fairer, more delicious place. And we couldn't do it without support from listeners like you. Want to be a part of the food world's most innovative community? Subscribe to the shows you like, tell your friends, and please join the HRN family by becoming a member. Just click on the heart at the top right of our homepage. Thanks for listening.